CEO and founder of Marwick Marketing. And for the next 45 minutes, we're going to look at ways we can grow your business using Google and other search engines. The way this webinar is designed is it's going to be pretty action-packed. So I hope everyone's got a pen and pencil or a notepad, because there's a lot for us to go through, because obviously it's quite a big subject and we only have 45 minutes to do that. I glance in this way because I can see everyone's faces on that screen, but the presentation is on this one. So if you see me kind of glancing between the two, that's why, because you're all over there. Okay, so as I said, we are going to go through ways that we can improve the performance of your website or presence on Google, and we're going to do that in such a way that it has a positive impact on these search engines and then on the website as well. So just a little bit of background around Marwick. As you can tell, I'm originally from the UK, but back in 2012 we moved to Vancouver and set up Marwick as a digital marketing agency. Over the last kind of 8 to 9 years, it's grown into one of the fastest growing companies in Western Canada, and is in the top 3% of premier Google partner agencies in North America and Europe. Recently, well, probably about 10 months ago, we moved back to Cornwall, and we brought Marwick UK with us, and that's why we're here and kind of sharing what we've learned over there and applying it with local knowledge. So I really hope you're going to find this super helpful. We're going to go through an introduction to what search engine optimization is, the 7 key pillars of search, how to audit your own website. We're going to talk about keywords and how to kind of really mine and organize those, because they're very important. We're going to look at website speed, Google Ads, and we're going to wrap things up with, hopefully we'll have time for some Q&A stuff too. Okay, so what exactly is search or search engine optimization? At any moment you go to Google or other search engines and you type into Google a search term or keyword, within milliseconds, it's bringing up a range of results. Now, they're not all created equally. You can see on this one, the top results are actually pulled from other websites. These are called rich snippets. They're a lot more visual and have quite a high click-through rate. The second section here is because I've asked in my search term for something within a location, is pulling in Google My Business or Google Maps into the search. And then you can see at the bottom, the 10 best cafes in Newquay. That is actually where the organic search results start in this instance. So number 1 on Google is actually quite far down, but you can see that the search engine results page in terms of organic results starts just under the map. So obviously that varies all the time depending on what we're searching and why. But ultimately what we're looking at to start with today is how we can improve our website in such a way that when someone types in something related to your business that you want to be found for, how the website can be placed higher and how we can build that trust. So again, the organic search results page or search engine results page, or what you'll find with digital marketing, if you haven't found already, is that there's about 12 different variations of calling something. So these are the results page. And all it's doing, all Google's doing is it's looking for websites that are informative, up-to-date, trusted, easy to navigate, and fast loading. So we're providing a resource to Google and other search engines. And if that resource ticks all those boxes, then we get rewarded with having our website more prominent. So that's what we're going to look at. When we are looking at what it takes to create a successful search engine optimization campaign, we're actually looking at 7 different areas. Now, it's most business owners or marketing professionals are aware that content is very important, keywords very important, but there's actually 7 quite distinctively different areas of search engine optimization, and I just wanted to run through these before we kind of go to the next step. Number 1, we've got to make sure that when we're mapping out our SEO campaigns, whether that's a short-term one or ongoing, the strategy that we use has to be agile. Absolutely, there's a process to optimize websites, but there's also needs to be some flexibility in that strategy to be able to adopt opportunities when they arise, because it's very fluid. The search engines are changing, 200 to 250 times a year in Google updates. There's major updates, but it's updating itself almost every day. Your competitors' websites are going to be changing all the time. The way people search for your brand, for your product, for your services will change as well, because people are becoming better at searching for what they want to find. They're using mobile phones, they're using voice-activated devices now to look for accountants or solicitors or cafes or hairdressers. So we've got to make sure that what we stick at doing at the start has the room for it to be agile enough that we can adopt those opportunities as they arise. If you're still using a strategy for search engine optimization from 3 years ago, it's probably hugely out of date already. Like even a year ago, it's probably out of date. So just keeping that top of mind. The second area that we'll want to look at and we'll touch on today is the speed of loading time of the website. It's a critical factor for where Google will place your website, regardless of everything else. So it doesn't matter how much good content, how many times you blog, all that kind of stuff. If your website loads slow, it's actually one of the main factors that Google will place your website further down the list, because it's providing a poor user experience. So we'll touch on that. Security, and this is not just security in terms of online sales and storing credit cards. This is the security against your website in terms of cyber attacks or SSL certificates. So looking at security as a whole, Google doesn't want to send people to a website where they could potentially get phished or have their details stolen, whether that's intentionally or not intentionally. Third-party hackers can use your website to do that. So it's really important that our security of the website is as strong as possible. And again, Google and other search engines will reward us for that. The next area that we'll touch on quite a bit, because this is a big chunk of it, is that kind of quality content. And you're going to have a few different areas. You're going to have your evergreen pages, which are your home pages, your about us pages, contact pages, pages that don't really change, your service pages. Having those as optimized as possible is going to be really key. We're going to look at how we can create strategic blogs so that we're actually answering questions that people or your customers are potentially searching, and then looking at kind of landing pages as well. So with content, what we're ultimately looking for is providing Google with a resource that's informative and doesn't exist already. And that's how we can secure a lot of those top placements pretty easily. Now, number 5 is almost completely other end of the spectrum. And this is the architecture of your website. This is how your website's been built. Over time, just like a car, it will need maintenance. And particularly if we're using WordPress or Shopify or Wix or any of those kind of CMS websites, things break, things get outdated. So it's important to continuously audit your website and make sure that the website is as strong as it could be. I always kind of use the analogy on this one as it's like having a bucket full of holes, and it doesn't matter how much good SEO water we pour into the top of it, whether that's time, money, hiring an agency or doing it yourself. If the architecture of the website's weak or has holes in it, we're constantly going to have to keep topping it up. So it's really important that we're going to spend a bit of time looking at that as well. We're going to look into backlinks and citations. This is a pretty old metric for how Google receives your website. It's kind of like a popularity test. A couple of years ago, they tried to actually do away with this ranking factor, but what happened was it just became a big mess. So backlinks are still really important, and we'll go through that as well. And then finally, the 7th pillar of search engine optimization is actually being able to make all these metrics mean something for your business. And it gets really overlooked quite a bit. We see reports from agencies showing clicks, impressions, and Facebook likes and all that kind of stuff, but taking it a step back or forwards and looking at like, okay, number 1 is revenue increases. Number 2 is, where are my conversions come from? Number 3 is, where is my placement on Google? So a lot of these big metrics, we need to make sure that we're talking about those first and humanizing digital marketing. all the kind of sub metrics like click-through rates, conversion rates, all that kind of stuff are a part of the foundation to those higher metrics. So making sure that this all is very tangible. So from that list, you can see that I want, bring this up at the beginning, because when we do talk search engine optimization, it is extremely varied and several different skill sets just to have one successful campaign. So at Marwick, we're a team of 22. So not the biggest agency in the world, but not the smallest. But out of those 22 people, we cover all these different areas, and that's because we need to, basically. So at the end of the day, what we're looking to do is build the trust of search engines by providing them a trusted resource for internet users. It's as simple as that. There's no hokey pokey kind of thing around search engine optimization. If our website is a really strong resource that covers those, kind of ticks those boxes, then search engines are going to reward us. So let's take a look at how we do that, or as this slide says, where should I start? We have 4 areas that we're going to look at today, and this is where you're going to need your pen and paper, because if you tackle at least one of these, it's going to have an impact on how your website performs. So let's look at auditing your website. So this goes to that the item around the architecture of the website, and I highly suggest auditing your website at least once every 6 months, because like I said, it's like a car, it just needs maintenance. Even if you're not touching it or editing the website, things break, things become outdated, and so on. So there's a number of ways that you can audit your website. We have a free auditing tool on our website. It's marwickmarketing.co.uk. You don't need to sign up to anything. It's not paid. It's just you go on, pop your web address into the box, you put in the keyword you want to be found for, and it will produce a report that will look at these items. So let's go through these really quickly, because I know that we do have a short amount of time. First thing it's going to look at is kind of like internal on-site issues. So things like, are there broken links? Is there, did the page get deleted and now there's broken links everywhere? That's going to really annoy the Google bot. So that's something we want to make sure is always tidied up. We want to look at content. Pages with too little content really struggle to index on Google because you're competing against all the HTML that's made up that page. So if you have a service page that only has a couple of hundred words, then those reports will kind of highlight that and suggest maybe writing a little bit more. Missing alt tags on images, again, it's just housekeeping. These are really good, easy things that anyone can do. If you have access to editing your own website, you can just go through the audit and reflect back to your website and fix those. So fixing the internal issues is going to be really good. Over to the right there, we have keyword density and headers. So in the old days, being 5 years back, you would have seen websites that were keyword stuffed. So if you were a solicitor insurer, you would mention solicitors insurer about 20 million times on your homepage, and boom, your website would appear #1 on Google. These days, obviously, Google doesn't like that because it takes away the quality of the resources online. So making sure that you have the right amount of keywords within the text, somewhere between kind of 1.5 and 2% keyword density. And again, the audits will pull that up. We'll give you some suggestions on whether it's too much or not enough. So you want to have that balance, that fine balance. We'll look at your headers, all kind of, again, small signals to Google about what this page is about and why it should be found for those different keywords. On-site front-facing issues, again, very like basic SEO stuff, page titles, image files, descriptions. An audit will tell you if any are missing, if any are too long, if any are too short. The fourth kind of quadrant there, the external links. So these are links that other websites link to your website. So backlinks, as they're often referred to. Not all links are created equally, unfortunately. A good link would be from the Cornwall Chamber of Commerce, because the Cornwall Chamber of Commerce website is a trusted resource. So that trust is being passed on to your website, and that's a good thing. A bad thing would be to go and buy 100,000 backlinks online from Fiverr or one of those websites. And that actually has a negative impact on your website because the quality and the trust of those websites is poor. So that poor kind of bad trust would flow to yours. So being able to actually keep track of like who's linking to your website is really important, because it can also have a detrimental effect to your website as well. And it does get used in a negative SEO way sometimes. So it's just something to be really good, something to be really aware of. And it adds to the case of auditing your website at least once every 3 to 6 months. Again, just to reiterate there on the bottom there, we'll share these slides with everyone after this, but if on our homepage at the bottom we have a free auditing tool. You can also hire a consultant or an agency to build more of an in-depth custom SEO audit. And just for reference, the industry kind of pricing is anywhere between £1,500 and £5,000, depending on the size of the website. And that will just dive much, much deeper into it. But in this instance, a good place to start is to use one of the free auditing tools. It will pull off the report, almost tell you how to fix them. And if you have access to editing the website, you'll be able to go in and make those changes. And again, this is all about patching those holes of the bucket. All right, so that's auditing the website. The second area that I'd love you to kind of take away and look into this is to think about your keywords and how they would be broken out into 3 different areas. So the reason this is important is because if on your homepage you just put in all kinds of keywords and variations of the service or product you're selling, it will become very diluted. So when you're trying to compete with other websites, it's just too diluted to be competitive. So by doing this as a little exercise, literally write down tier 1 keywords, tier 2, and long tail keywords, and have a think about what they might be. So I've used the example here. One of our clients is the Cornish Bakery. We've helped them become #1 on Google for their initiative of selling pasties online, which is quite cool. So their top tier keywords are things like bakery, Cornish pasty. So like very high volume. So they're searched a lot, very competitive. But if you search bakery in the UK, it'd be nice to be found if you were the Cornish Bakery. So where we want to place these keywords are on our homepage and our main evergreen pages again. So again, these are the pages that don't really change. There are About Us page. If you're a solicitor, it'd be like the team page. It could be the services page. Pages that don't necessarily change, but are strong kind of pillar web pages. So that's where you'd want to place your tier 1 keywords. Tier 2 is a little less competitive and a little bit more specific to maybe what you do. So in this instance, it's buy Cornish pasties online. Okay, pretty specific to what they're doing. The competition is much less compared to bakeries, which means it's going to be easier to place your web page higher for that term. Best bakery in Padstow, sausage roll, home delivery, those kind of keywords. So when somebody types that in, if your website matches that in terms of the content and the information, this is a really not quick and easy, but this is a much more dynamic route to gaining more website traffic. Now we want to use these keywords on our product pages or even create sub landing pages. So you can have hundreds and hundreds of hidden landing pages for your website, optimized for variations of your kind of tier 2 keywords. And you'd only really find those if you typed in one of these kind of tier 2 keywords into Google. So the third and kind of final area are more around the long tail keywords. So these are going to have a lot less competition again. So competition from other websites that are competing on Google with you. And they have kind of a medium search volume. So these are typically questions that people ask Google. So what is a Cornish pasty? Which bakery is the best in Newquay? Can you buy pasties online? Are all great examples for the Cornish Bakery in this instance. And what we've seen over the years is obviously people have become better at searching Google and other search engines to the point where, in the old days, you'd type in a search result, and then you'd scroll through all the pages. These days, people are just using their mobile phone and saying, which is the best bakery in Newquay? How far away is it? So what we're aiming to do here is actually answer that question in the form of a blog, an article, or even on a frequently asked questions page. And the more that you can answer these potential customer questions with content, the more likely you're going to be to pick up all that website traffic. And again, the long tail keywords are going to be much easier than trying to place your website number one in the UK for bakery when you're providing that super helpful content. So for your business, it's a good idea just to put some titles on a notepad, have a think about what are your tier 1 keywords, what are your tier 2 ones, and what are your long tail ones. Maybe just start making a list and start mapping those out across the website there. A good place to start for the long tail keywords, so the one on the right there around the blogs and the questions and answers, is a website called answerthepublic.com. This is a really cool tool because it kind of pulls in a lot of the data from Google, and Google also Ask area of Google. And you could put in here, say something like best bakery UK or best solicitors in Cornwall or whatever you want. And it will actually pull from a number of different resources all the questions that get asked around that search term or search phrase. And it provides you with a full list of content that you can create by simply answering those questions in blogs on your website. It's going to drive a lot more traffic. So it's a really cool resource. It's free. If you use it multiple times in a single day, then it does kind of ask you to sign up. But you can use it once or twice a day without having to pay, which is a good thing. The next area we're looking at, again, just to keep just more of a FYI heads up, is to take a look at the Google Core Web Vitals, which was a major update this summer. It was supposed to be in May. It actually got delayed until kind of June, July. But this is kind of elaborates on the Google the Google request that all websites should load under 5 seconds. It's gone a step further than that, and it's saying, okay, from this summer just gone, we want websites to not just be amazing on mobile. They need to be extremely safe for our users to browse. They need to be secure, and they've got to be easy to use. So there are no annoying pop-ups or banners or things that are just going to get in the way. And so as Google mentioned, it's a holistic picture of the quality of a user's experience on a web page. And this is a big update for this summer. Again, so if you haven't done any optimization, or you haven't audited your website recently, it's most likely out of date. So there's some really good resources online. You can see there. Again, we'll share these slides with you, but web.dev-vitals will actually open up a tool you can plug in your website, and it's a Google resource, and it will tell you if you tick all those boxes, and it will tell you if the website has passed or failed, and it will give you ideas on how to do that. Probably one of the biggest things to go away after this presentation and take a look at as well. So big update from Google, still impacting a lot of websites. A lot of business owners still have no idea it even happened, wondering why their business online's dropped, just not aware of this huge update. So something to please go and look at after this. We're going to go through Google Ads a little bit now as well, just to kind of bring that to your attention. We've talked a lot about how we holistically bring your website up to the top of Google and be more visible. We talked about how it's about fixing the architecture. It's about the content. It's about mapping out the keywords so the website becomes really interesting for the search engines. Now you can, we always think of search engine optimization as more of like an investment into the website. So your website is a business asset. The more it becomes, the more traffic it gets from organic search, the more valuable that website becomes. So investing time, money into SEO is an investment for the website itself. Now, SEO has kind of like this twin sister, which is Google search ads, which achieves the same thing. You're top of Google, but it's the complete opposite. Google search ads is 100% advertising. You pay per click. You pay when someone clicks on your ad, and when your budgets run out or you turn them off, your ads disappear, and that's it. So it achieves the same thing, but just in a very different way. Now, the cost per click can vary depending on the business you're in and the area you want to target. The nice thing about Google search ads is you can turn them on, turn them off. You can target different locations. You can target different people. You can target different keywords. It's very, there's a lot more control, and it's a lot more responsive to your requests. There. And again, they typically have four search results at the top. In this instance, there's only one. There used to be a lot more prominent that they were advertising slots. I don't know if anyone remembers, but there used to be like a pink shaded box that would say Google Ads. Now it just has a very small ad icon there as well. So it's kind of blending it into the search results. Following on from the search ads, another area that works extremely well for pretty much all businesses, to be honest, even if you're not selling products, is remarketing, or some people call it retargeting. And remarketing is simply the process of adding a tag on your website. So when a consumer or potential customer comes to your website, regardless of the action they take, when they leave, they start to see your advertising online for a period of time. It can be a week, it can be up to 3 months, and the medium that your ads appear on can vary as well. The nice thing about remarketing is a lot of businesses aren't necessarily instant purchase. Maybe hairdressers, you'd probably, if you find a good hairdresser, you're going to go to their website, you're going to ring them, and you're going to book. If you're looking to book a holiday, you're looking to rent a car, you're looking to hire a solicitor, you're looking to hire a financial advisor, there's a pretty high chance you're going to visit at least 3 or 4 other websites to get an idea of like who's the best, pricing, all that kind of stuff. And what remarketing does is it solidifies that brand or your brand to that user while they're going through that decision process. And the nice thing about remarketing is it's very, very cost effective, because you're only really paying when the user, having seen your ads on other websites for a period of time, clicks on the ad and actually returns back to the website. So a very powerful tool. I'm sure everyone's been subject to remarketing, whether you're aware of it or not. Remarketing can come in the form of having your banner ads on websites, popular websites. It can come in the form of even you visit the Marwick website and then you jump on Facebook tomorrow and you'll see Marwick Facebook ads. YouTube advertising is really powerful as well. That's a really great tool that we see a lot of good success in there. And weirdly enough, not many people know about this, but number 4, you can actually remarket in search ads as well. So if, for example, John is looking for car hire, he types in car hire into Google, he visits your website, doesn't do anything, and then puts this laptop down and goes to work. 3 days later, he types in car hire again, because he's starting from the beginning of his customer journey. You can actually remarket or retarget your search ads above the other search ads, so you at a much lower cost. So it's a little trick not many people really know about, that we see a lot of great success there too. Google Shopping, another way to be top of Google and drive more sales. If you're selling a product, this is definitely somewhere to spend a bit of time researching and getting into. Google Shopping is simply pulling the product from your product page into the search results. So it's a lot more visual. You see the imagery, you see the price, you see the brand, and you see the vendor. So it gives, so already without incurring any cost as an advertiser, I get to shop between multiple kind of locations, and I can see absolutely I'm going to buy the unicorn socks, and I've not incurred any, I haven't made anyone else pay for that advert. So we see a much higher click-through rate on Google Shopping, and we actually see a much higher conversion rate as well, because the end user, the customer or the potential customer, has already self-qualified themselves. Their price, product, and shop. So by the time they do click on it, they're pretty high value website user. Yeah, so Google Shopping is a really popular one, particularly if you're selling products. Finally, obviously, we're talking about growing your business on Google. Google owns YouTube. YouTube's second biggest search engine in the world. Really underrated, underutilized for small to medium-sized businesses, because I feel like a lot of small businesses assume that YouTube is going to be expensive, like TV advertising. And in actual fact, it's very cost effective and there's many different ways that you can target people. I've given an example here of a hotel in Newquay. So let's assume the hotel in Newquay have a really nice 2-minute video promoting the hotel and Newquay itself. So there's actually 4 different ways that video can be used on YouTube. And let's go through them. So the first one is topic based. So the video is going to show before other videos on YouTube based on the intent of someone going to Newquay. So what does that mean? So it means they might be searching things like, they might be searching on YouTube or Google. They might be searching for, when is the best time to go to Newquay? How do I get to Cornwall? All those kind of terms. So Google understands that they're in the audience of showing intent to research this topic of Newquay, the town. And so regardless of the video they're about to watch, because it could be, Britain's Got Talent, but because the audience that person's within, it will show them the hotel video in Newquay. So the video itself doesn't have to be Newquay related, just like TV, you're watching TV, but the ads are based on your internet usage. So that's number one. Number 2 is a little bit more direct. This is an in-market audience. So again, regardless of what the person's about to watch on YouTube, and remember, a lot of people are watching YouTube on the big TV now, and it's they're using it as much as Netflix. So it's not just on their mobile phones. But in-market audience shows that the user is in the process of buying and booking. So it could be, in this instance, coming to Newquay, train tickets, plane tickets, hotels, booking restaurants, all that kind of stuff. So they're in the market to do something. So here's another, if you're a solicitor, it could be someone in the market for buying real estate. So you might target them with, an ad around that side of the business. So there's a lot of really descriptive audiences that Google has. Now, what you can do with these audiences as well is you can actually layer them. So if you wanted to target everyone that's in the market for buying a new car, but you also wanted to layer that with, okay, but I only want to target people that are interested in buying a new car, female, age 25 to 35, living in Plymouth. So you can layer up these audiences with demographic targeting. So, and that's what the big difference between this and TV advertising is you're pretty much picking the perfect audience, whereas TV advertising, you lose that. Number 3, we have keyword based. So this is a bit more obvious. If somebody's typing into YouTube things to do in Newquay or how to surf or anything like that, then we can, from a keyword list, advertise based on what those keywords are. So that's a good one if you're if you have a lot of good blogs and people are asking, like, how do I fix this, or how do I cook this, some aligning your brand with things that your customers do outside of your core business value. So think of your audience. What are they doing when they're not needing your service or product? Where else are they? And then being able to align your brand there too. And then the fourth one here is remarketing, which is, as mentioned on the previous slide, is simply, someone's come to the website in the last couple of months, being able to retarget or remarket your video to them just really ingrains the brand, ingrains your customer promise, your pricing, your product, anything you like there. So really good, super powerful tool, pretty inexpensive to use, gets overlooked massively, but as good as advertising on TV. Okay, so that's a lot. We've gone through a lot there. We've got about 5 minutes, 10 minutes left. So there's a few more ways that we can, continue the conversation. We've covered a lot of different areas. We at Marwick, we provide complimentary, 15, 20-minute discovery calls where we can look at ways that some of these areas might be applicable to your business. We can provide more in-depth audits if it's something, if you already hire someone, just get a second set of eyes on it is always a really good thing to do. You're more welcome to reach out on LinkedIn, and we're always around to answer any questions. And also, our website there, marwickmarketing.co.uk, has that auditing tool, which is a great free and easy thing to use to audit your website. And we continue to put some good content on there, as we should, around search engine optimization and Google as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, hopefully. Let me see if this works. And pop back on over here. And maybe if anyone has any questions, now's a great